It's kind of weird to sit in a situation, to start the game in a situation where only one side's on the board. That just feels so odd to me. Let me look at the victory conditions again, just to see what we need to worry about here. So, the Duke score is Prestige plus Prosperity. Well, there's no Prestige. Prosperity is up here, which means right now, with military control, the Dukes is going to win the game if the epic just somehow magically ended. It won't happen, but it is something to keep in mind. And these guys, assuming they can get the control, are looking at they're looking at Britain control exceeds 36, which it does. Population under Britain control. Yeah. Okay, so the current population is, I guess, the 40. Which I actually don't have marked anywhere. Interesting. I feel like that should be... Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. So, yeah. So, again, if they manage to grab control, that'll be them. I guess the first thing we do is we draw ourselves a couple of cards. And the first one is Rival Caesars. Remove half of one barbarian's warbands from one region it controls. Doesn't sound like Caesars. Remove half Dukes pieces, forts lost, cav to casualties, from each of 2 adjacent regions with Dukes. The Scotty can take that. And then the second card, which we know ahead of time. Okay, I guess that's Saxon up there. It looks a little gray rather than black. Place Saxon Federati in Iceni, or Trinovantes, 3 warbands, and if none there, 1 settlement. That might be something the Saxons actually want to do. It's kind of weird. Tribal war, remove 2 prosperity each and 5 pieces other than cavalry or forts. A faction's strongholds last in a region from Iceni and Trinovantes. Okay. Well, I like events. So, remove half of one barbarian's warbands. No, we don't want to do that. But Roman Original Sin, remove half Dukes pieces, forts last, cav to casualties, from each of 2 adjacent regions with Dukes. Well, I could smack these 2 regions, which are both kind of big, with the event. Why not? We'll do the event there. Bunch of cav die. They'll all come back at the end of the epic if nothing changes. And that's it, you know. That means the blue, I get to look at what they might want to do for the civitets. They're going to have an option next time as well, but I don't see where they particularly want that next card in any sense. So I think they're going to do an action, which means I have to start zoning out on what they can do. Yeah, I read the rules, but it doesn't stick very well. The only way to learn these games is to stare at these cards. And luckily, I got all the victory conditions spelled out here too. That'll be useful. Okay, so I'm going to spend some time looking at them, and I'll come back. Circumstance, there's basically two commands that make sense. Muster, which will cost me 2 resources each, and give me militia in places with towns, and you know, I pretty much am at 1 town per location, but there are some locations that may have towns and hill forts. Can't use the Roman forts. I actually don't see any. It looks to me like there isn't anything that jumps to that. One per population. Place 1 militia plus, and I can't produce comitatus. The other option is to trade and produce money. This will add 1 resource per town in the target space. And then up to 2 selected spaces, I can pay a resource to add prosperity equal to population. Well, the prosperities are all as high as they can be at this point. So the question is really, you know, do I want to generate a pile of money, or do I want to muster? This is sort of the perfect time to generate money, so I think we're going to do that. So we will trade, and there doesn't seem to be a limit to any of these, which seems weird. I thought there were limits to these. So let's see if trade and or muster. Muster, you know, is limited by the money that you make, but or that you have on hand. But trade doesn't sounds like it just generates money. And then I have to look at my feats as well, because I get 1 of them because he took the event. Trade. I can select any spaces with towns, just 1 if it's a limited command. It's not a limited command because of the event. So yeah, I mean, I'm just going to pull up some money. So I trade, and let's do this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Looks like $13, right? I should be able to tell here. Sure, I'll grab $13. Okay. What about my feat? So, I'm not going to invite, I'm not going to reinforce, I'm not going to pillage. That means rule is the only option I have. So up to 3 spaces with Britain control, and I first transfer all Civites plunder to wealth, and then in each space, I can either convert 2 Britain resources into a wealth. That sounds like not a bad idea. Or spend a wealth to reduce Duke's prestige. Well, Duke's prestige is already at 0, so that's not going to help. Or if the region has a Civitas stronghold, I can pay 5 and discard a refugee and add population, which I can't do. I have no refugees. So to me, it looks like I am going to pick 3 spaces. It doesn't really matter which 3. And I'll spend 6 resources and get 3 wealth out of that. Because wealth has a little bit more stability to it. That's the first turn. Boom, gone. So now we pull another card and see what our next one is, which is Corinium. Civites are going to be able to place towns, which sound valuable. And crumbling walls battle an enemy at one of its strongholds, as if coup de main with a roll of 1 against that stronghold. So 1 give you coup de main? I thought you wanted high. What? Let's look. What do we got here? Oops. Okay. So yeah, no more than 1 above the difference between the stronghold's holding capacity and number of units. So that should give you a coup de main, no matter what. Anyway, we see no reason to fight there. Let's take a look at the... Oh. So these move over here. Okay. So let's see what we want here. Saxons are first. Do they want to place these federati? Or do they want to take a turn? Or do they want to remove 2 prosperity each and 5 pieces total other than cav or forts from Iceni and Trinovantes? So we're playing with Iceni and Trinovantes at this point, if we want to use one of these. That's this and this. Those don't look terribly potent. 2 prosperity and 5 pieces total other than cavalry or forts. Well, we could kill 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. Do we want to do that? Yeah. Why not soften them up a little bit? Sure. On the other hand, we could throw some of the federati in. Now, I'm having trouble. We want to be in swamps because we're Saxons, if I recall correctly. Gonna have to peek to see that. Yeah, Saxons like swamps. Saxons like swamps. Saxons like swamps. You know, softening up the troops doesn't sound like a bad idea to me. So yeah, we're gonna take an event there. And I don't think we want to create that. So let's 2 prosperity each and 5 pieces. I think the prosperity kind of sucks. But I don't know if we want to create more troops there. Maybe we just want to take a turn. Huh? I don't know. I mean, we definitely want to do something. Even though we have second pick here. Well, do we want this? Not particularly. They might be neat. So what if we raid and we could get a surprise, which would allow us to deep raid. We could ravage, which could take more plunder. Let's see how this is worded. I thought some of these could only be done in one space again. And I'm not seeing that spelled out here, so I'm kind of like, what? Well, raids, obviously, I'm allowed. Does it spell out how many? It should be 3. It should say that here, up to 3 spaces without Saxon control. Yeah, okay. I'll be having reductions, though, and I don't have money, not much. But we got to look at feats. Feats are what I'm looking at here that I may not be allowed to do much of. Surprise. May only accompany raider battle commands and only occur in 1 raider battle space. So that should really be stated here, and it doesn't. Oh, there it is. Max 1 space. Okay. There we go. Oh, and they have these guys here. Okay. So why do they say max 4 spaces for raid? 4 space. Oh, yeah. Okay. And what can I do? Surprise could be 1 space. And the only other one is ransom, which after plundering, says select all regions. Oh, where raid places raiders or battle. Each region roll a die, and we could get resource or renown from a faction that has a stronghold to target the Scotty. That's the Scotty. Okay, these are a little different. Raid is 3 spaces. Surprise could be 1 space. Excuse me. Ravage allows me to plunder a little harder. And here's the problem. red is going to get to go on that next card. Actually, on this card. So they're going to get a jump on me if I do this. So I'm trying to debate the event. Is softening them up without getting more cash a good idea? If I do surprise, I can actually raid these areas and just take their population value. So I wouldn't be using the ravage, which lets me take more. So yeah, why don't we do the event? We'll leave the Romans to fight each other, and that's 2 prosperity each and 5 pieces total that I can remove. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hill forts aren't forts, I guess. Right? The way it's worded. Yeah. And 2 prosperity from each region. These come off the top first. Okay. That means red can go. Now, next turn, if red holds off, they may not get a turn. So they're going to want to go. They cannot take the event. So, like last time, it's time to look at these. And yeah, I know, I spent a lot of time looking at the Saxon ones on camera. What the hell, man? Yeah, to what we're doing. There's no, nothing here anymore. So Britain control of this goes away. Now, I got a couple of Britain control markers here and here. There's no place to really put them. So I'm leaving them off the map right now. But I think that's what the excess markers are for. Now, the fact that that went down, that's 2 population under Britain control that goes away. Does that affect Red's prosperity and prestige? Yeah. Prosperity is a hard thing to count. I just lost 4 prosperity. And that's going to be hard to remember. Okay. Keeping the counters in alignment and the game state reflected in them can be a very hard thing in these games. This one, I feel may be harder than most because all those fucking prosperity markers out there. Uh-oh. I have a lot of commands that I can do with the dukes, actually. In a way, that's kind of the problem. But yeah, we'll do this. The only action that really makes sense, I can march and get some troops into Iceni, which might not be unwise. But for the most part, training looks like the main thing that I'd want to do. Just 3 resources per space for troops, 2 for prosperity. I could only do this in spaces with a fort or friendly control. Well, this has a fort, so I can build some troops there. Now, for feats, I have build, which allows me to build a fort or replace 2 militia or a hill fort and a militia with a town. And I can do that with march as well. So I could actually march into here. 3 resources to either place a fort at a vacant site or replace, but I have to have cavalry and more friendly than barbarian units. Invite, I'm not going to do that. Requisition, that allows me to grab money, which if I didn't have anything to fix might make sense, but I don't think I want to do that right now. There's money available to me right now here. I got to pay attention to who controls, though. So the Civitate's wealth is now 3 above the Imperium state. So the Imperium could switch, I think, in mid-turn. I don't think it's only assessed at the end. It's just one more of those little fiddly things you got to pay attention to in terms of recording game state. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably train and build, but I could march and build. I need Cav. Well, I have Cav here, so I could build there. Okay, I think I'm going to march and build. I have a Cav that I can move from here. So I'm going to do the march. I'm going to spend $2 off the Civitates money. I'm allowed to steal their cash. And I'm going to move 2 Cav out of here all the way down to Iceni. I don't have control yet. I can move more Cav out of here. Okay. Now, I'm going to build. And Cav more friendly than Barbarian. It costs me 3 per space. And I can build either a fort or replace 2 militia or a hill fort and 1 militia with a town. What do towns do for me? Towns create money for the Civitates. Forts are better at combat. Okay. I'm gonna take some of these things. Just use these. Just to mark what I'm doing. I'm gonna spend $3 in Iceni. I'm out of forts. Uh-oh. And I'll build a town there. I actually don't have a lot of towns. I'll spend... I can't build a town there. Right? Guess I built a town there. What else could I build? Nothing really. Alright. I could build prosperity. Right? No, that's the train capability. So I'm not going to gain control of this. Wow, do I even want to go there? No. If I had a fort, I would definitely build it. Okay. But I don't. Let's build the town way down here where it's pretty damn safe. Build another town over here where it's fairly safe, I guess. I could... No, I can't build more towns in the center areas here, so yeah, that looks fine. Ah, I'm cheating. Shit. These 2 towns, again, I'm putting on white spaces, which is not where I can put them. It's only black spaces where I could put them, so I didn't want to move this here. I'd move it here. I'm having trouble. And this one also is a white space. I'm not going to move this extra guy there. I'm going to put it here and spend another 3 and get that there, I guess. What have I done? Have I affected anything? I have not increased population, so the Roman control doesn't go up. Prosperity and prestige, neither of them have really gone up. I don't know if prosperity counts. I may be 2 less prosperity because I lost control of this. In fact, I'm pretty sure I am. The sum of current prestige and either total prosperity, regardless of control. Oh, okay, sure. Okay. So that, I think, is the end of that card. This card shifts over. These go here, these go there, and we get a new card, which in this case is Stilicho. Will be an effect until the end of the epic. And if not fragmentation, shift to Roman rule and military dominance. Place 10 cavalry from anywhere in Atrebates, Regni, and Arcantiaci. And up to 5 from anywhere. So I mean, from my casualties box. And Arcantiaci, and up to 5 forts or towns into vacant towns and sites once until epic. Train and muster, place double militia. And next recovery, remove to available the number of cavalry that Stilicho put on the map. Yeah, I think he can pull them out of here. That would be a way to recover 4 of my cav, but they'll go back, and I don't know how much I gain. That's a great card if you're getting your ass handed to you. I got to keep an eye on these things and see if I want to do them as well. All right, I think we're breaking for a little bit. I get to eat my dinner. Cheers. It's kind of strange getting myself knocked out of Iceni here. I'm having a hard time figuring out a way to get back there. The Civitatis, I don't think they have a way. Muster, let me see, that may do it. Place a militia per town in Hillfort, plus if Britain control 1 per... if a valid site with more... Okay. Friendly than barbarian pieces, replace a militia with a hill fort. So if I did a march into there, I could conceivably settle it on another turn. And for the military, the dukes, it's the same kind of situation. I can march in there and I can build stuff up. Of course, the alternative is leaving this open and letting the Saxons, I guess, land there and start taking stuff over. I'm not sure which is better. Right now, I can do something kind of cool and just gain a town in a place where there's a Britain peace. However, towns can only go in the black spaces, and there aren't any town spaces there anyway. So that may not be terribly interesting. And I basically don't see any towns I could take over. Once I got rid of this. So I'm trying to decide, hey, do I want to, take a normal activation, or do I want to do the event? It looks like the event does not help me. Now that's problematic because that opens up the second part of the event. Battle an enemy in one of its strongholds as if coup de main with a roll of 1 against the stronghold. But that's all it does. So since nobody's in position to battle one of these things, I guess I'm safe taking the command and the feat, unless this is really important to me, which is the Stilicho. It's kind of interesting about Stilicho. I forgot to look it up. The rule book, the playbook, kind of implies that Stilicho went to Britain. I wasn't aware of that. Like I said, I meant to look that up. Maybe I will. All right, so I made my decision. I'm going to do a march command. It cost me 2 activations. I'll put one of these. I'm only going to really do a limited command, essentially, because I just want to get to the Iceni space. And I'm going to drag that cav along with me if the Dukes agrees. Now, I'm not sure I want to do a feat. I look at the feats. The only one that's really interesting to me is Rule, which could convert resources into wealth. That's useful, hiding my wealth from the from the Dukes, but it's not really something that affects the victory conditions directly. It's just keeping some money out of their hands, which might be appealing. It doesn't affect my victory conditions. I'm just worried about control, so it's absolutely important for me to do this. So if I don't do a feat and do command only, the Dukes is like, yeah, we'll let you take our unit as well. And we'll march here. Now, is this putting me in danger? I don't know. But the goal here is to eventually get that into, to get some kind of stronghold there. That means the second play here could be the crumbling walls, but it's not going to be. And now green, well, they get a second action. So right now, if green takes an action, all they get is a limited command, which is a one-shot thing. And I'm not sure I see much I want to do with a one-shot. Stilicho, it's possible red may use them, in which case I would get my full activity. I don't know what the next card down is. If I'm going to be going with the next card down, I don't want to pass. I want to do a raid. But if I pass, I get a renown. What are my raid chances? As long as I don't come across the wall, they're okay. I think. Is there a place that I'd want to raid terribly much? I might have trouble getting out of the raid. That's the problem. Jeez, I don't know. This is so hard to make decisions in this game. You know, in any coin game when you're first looking at it, which is why I wanted to do a little bit of pre-play, but I just don't feel like I have the time. I would probably finish the whole campaign like I did with Falling Sky. So unfortunately, I'm wasting some of your time, but well, that's life, isn't it? I feel like I have much option but to raid. Now, the problem is, of course, if I go into the plains, I'm in trouble. If I go here, I only get one resource. It costs me one renown in order to raid with more than just one die. But yeah, I think I'll just go with a raid with one die, which costs me nothing. I mean, otherwise I could just take a renown, but I don't know, that's about what I gain. Tell you what, we're going to pass, see what happens next time, because that gets us the renown that we would get over there, so that's fine. Yippee. All right, so that's one card. Stilicho is going to come down. I'm going to have to look him up before I go further. And we have barbarians. I should not have passed, because now I'm going to want to pass on this next one probably. Tribal wars remove 5 Saxon pieces. Warbrands then strongholds from one Saxon-controlled region. Pirate Haven. Scotty place 1 settlement and 2 warbands at 1 vacant hill force site in Oceanus Hibernicus or Septentrionalis. Yeah. Where do I find these? Oceana Hibernicus. That should be down here. This whole section. At 1 vacant hill site in or Septernalis, which is up here. Okay. Yeah, so I will get to inject myself onto the countryside, which looks kind of appealing. And you know, worst comes to worst, I do get another pass before that, so that's not too bad. So these swap in, and we'll be on the next card, and I will look up Stilicho and see how whether he was ever in Britain. So there is some evidence that Stilicho was in Britain for 1 year, which is interesting, and apparently it didn't go very well. Another thing that's kind of been bringing up some noise is the status of the road maintenance counter. If you do not maintain the roads, it will be permanently set, this is what the rules say, to not maintained. Okay. there's another place where it says under Roman rule, they are always maintained for free. Looking at those two, I would say permanently supersedes the always maintained. However, I found I was pointed to looking for a thread that says that the designer pretty much is weighing in to say opposite, but it seems from what I'm looking at that maybe it involves some card play or something. So what I'm going to do is, because cards override the rules, if I see a card that seems to clearly override that permanency, I will go with it. But otherwise, I'm going to go with the rules as written. If the designer means otherwise, well, the living rules haven't even been changed. You can see how far I went on this one, because it really does bother me, you know, when you have completely... The two things are essentially somewhat contradictory. And I can't see how anyone would see permanently to not mean permanently. However, I can see always maintained to mean something a little bit less important, which is that, yeah, they will be maintained, but obviously not if they're gone, you know? But whatever. Okay. So let's move on to this next card, the Stilicho card. I do not believe that the Dux player wants to use this. So that's, and certainly he doesn't care if somebody else wants to do it, that's up to them. Forts or towns into vacant town sites, there aren't a lot of them. Until epoch. Trade in a muster, place double militia, not too interesting. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna look through my red options and see what I can do, which may well be building a fort or something here. That's not going to work. I don't have any forts. Now I could withdraw a fort from somewhere. And if I've got a place that has a fort like here, where I could change it to a town, I could get away with that. This is clear territory, so that's kind of appealing maybe. However, it's also, you know, right on this border here. And I got to worry about what he's up to. And on the other hand, when I look at muster, the Britons would be able to put a hill fort there. By just removing one of their militia. And militia are pretty easy to make. So I think I'd rather aim for that, because I'm kind of out of pieces at this point. So what do I want to do with my Romans? Well, I'm not going to get that card off. So I don't know what I'm going to do. The only place where the wording is kind of poorly done, I'm trying to figure out this, you know, what the Dukes are going to do, right? So I'm thinking train, and I start reading this. In each space, pay 3 resources to play 1 cavalry per fort, or if town or hill fort, up to 2 militia. Then pay 2 resources and up to 2 regions with friendly control and fort or cavalry to add prosperity there equals population. And I immediately start thinking, yeah, that's a little weird. And this has a cost of 3 per space for troops and 2 with prosperity. Now, honestly, this isn't that big a deal right now, because the only places I can add prosperity are here and here. And let's see. I could place a cavalry. Well, actually, this one does matter. So I could place a cavalry there, which I don't have, so I can't. But I could pay 2, because there's friendly control there, and a fort or cavalry, and add prosperity equal to the population. But I decided to recheck that. And then over here, in each selected space, place 3 resources per space for 1 cavalry per fort, and or if there is a town or hill fort, up to 2 militia. Sounds the same. Then in each of up to 2 selected spaces. Well, what do they mean by selected spaces here? That addition of that word here, it changes. It's in regions, not spaces, but it doesn't say selected. But by using selected here, I'm wondering, do I have to pay the 3 first, even though I get nothing in order to do it? I don't think that's what's meant. but it's a little weird because this does say 3 resources for space, 2 for prosperity. I don't know. I just don't know. I think I'm allowed to do it in both. I think I'm allowed to do just the prosperity here. But again, the wording, and honestly, this is maybe the dichotomy between well hammered out American rules and more English style rules. I mean, I can remember way back, you know, in the 80s or whatever, when I first started reading GW rules, I was like, what the fuck are they going on about? They're like not making sentences that, you know, are unambiguous, and they're making things that are contradictory. And I'm starting to run into that here too. I don't know. I think this guy is actually French, which would, if you take a look at the AWE stuff, you can see, wow, they really, you know, were very fast and loose. And there was just kind of this general view that American game rules, especially like Avalon Hill and SPI, were much more restrictive, and people would complain about GW rules, and then, not that I'm a big fan of GW, mind you, but they would complain about GW rules, and then you would see people discussing, well, you know, Americans are just too picky about these things. Yeah, well, if you can interpret it multiple ways, which one is it? Is it A or B, you know? And if it's one of those, state it clearly. If it's not one of those, then you have a good argument. If it's choose which one you like or flip a die whenever you want to make a decision, you know. Well, sometimes we'll roll the die and it'll come up, we do the rule this way. Sometimes we do it another way. It's funny, even games like Canadian Civil War, where they intentionally say they tried to make the rules ambiguous so you would have things that you could challenge through their parliamentary process. I almost never find anything even vaguely ambiguous in that rule set. But this, yeah, I mean, if this was Canadian Civil War, I would understand greatly, you know. Maybe the roads are permanent, maybe they're always maintained. It can't be both, right? Maybe, yeah. All right, we'll try. I'm really surprised that Volko was the developer on this and didn't manage to nail the design down a little harder, though, than it is. I mean, it's not on the level of the GW stuff. It's much closer to the level of SPI or Avalon Hill stuff prior to errata. But it's also not on GMT's usual standard, and certainly not. I have my disagreements with GMT rules, but they tend to be nailed down pretty hard, and certainly not in the coin series for the most part. This seems to be playing a little faster and looser with language. Okay, so the Romans did a train and built a lot of militia, actually. They ate up the rest of the militia. They also ate up all of the Civitates' money, which might not be wise, because the Civitates may not want to spend wealth on their turn. And I did a requisition, which allowed me, hey, to steal $6, including 1 of wealth, and put it into the Duke's money. This is kind of pissing off the Civitates, and it's actually weakening them as a player in terms of a response to whatever the Roman military establishment's doing. The other 2 players who were available both took a pass, because the next card looks like they both will get a chance to do something major. Here they just get a limited event. And so that's that. Still a code does not come to England. And acculturation. Federati merged with host culture. This would be useful. So in one region with Britain control, replace all federati of one nation in color, strongholds with hill forts and troops with comitates and or militia. So this creates something that if, like, you know, the Civates and the Dukes could both take an action, one of them could take an action on this card and one of them could be guaranteed an action on this card, would be appealing to create federati with an invite action and then acculturate them immediately. However, the other side of it is Britain adopts barbarian culture. If there's federati and Civates strongholds, free one nations of federati markers and replace all Civitates strongholds and troops with corresponding pieces of that nation. So there might be a danger. You have to make sure that you can time it right if that does happen. And unfortunately here, the Scotty get to trump in both of these, so we're probably not going to see it. Well, we're not going to see it this time. And yeah, now the Dukes has some cash, and they've stripped away some of the wealth. Have they done anything? Yeah, I bought some prosperity there, which increases this a little bit more. I forgot to mark that. Still no control here because I haven't built a fort. The Britons would like to see one. They don't have much money to do it now, though. It got stripped away from them. Now our Scotti have taken advantage of the event to land there. The Saxons have the next action. They don't want to do it off this card, of course, because they might not be getting as good an option. Although they might be, because we might be seeing the acculturation. Wow, there's a negative to that. Ah, jeez. Jesus. Yep. Maybe the Scotty don't want to take the event, which they were planning on taking and waiting for. Hold on. Maybe they don't want to take it, because they'll get acculturated. Maybe they want to raid instead. Or just keep passing. Shit. I don't know. Oh no. That's only for Federati. Screw that, man. We're fine. Okay. So we will not get acculturated as long as the Saxons take the next action here. At least we don't think we will. With both of us there, it's actually possible, because what can green do? Green could entreat. Oh no, that's theirs. Okay. Sorry. Blue could invite and then red and bring new units in, and red could acculturate them and turn them into blue pieces. However, there aren't many blue pieces, so I don't know how much value that would be. We'd get an extra hill fort out of that whole thing, but I don't know. I think there's going to be better things to do with the Scotty showing up here. Oh yeah, and the light lamps go out. The Saxons wanted to do theirs. So they're going to do a raid. Nothing else makes any sense. But what do they want to do with the raid? They could do a surprise for a deep raid. They could ravage. I think the surprise sounds more effective. So I'm going to be able to pick 3 spaces, and that is next to Germanicus and Britannicus, right? Yeah. So I get to pick 3 spaces that I want to raid. I like being in Fens, so that's a space that I want to go for. Others are more expensive to get to. This one doesn't look too bad. That's plains though. That's not Fens. This one's only got 1 defender. That sounds good. Do I want to do deep raid? Is there some advantage to it? I don't really see terrible much advantage. Okay. So we'll not use our feet here. Well, we can use Ravage. Yeah, we'll use Ravage. Why not? Okay. Why not? I mean, we have it. Okay, so for the raid, we're going to pay 2 per target space. There's 3 target spaces, so we spend $6. And we will roll 3 dice minus the forts bordering the sea. Well, There's 1, 2, 3 forts bordering the sea here, unfortunately. Ooh, this is... okay. Yeah, that's got 3 forts too. Okay, screw it then. So 3 dice at -3, and we'll start up here. How about we roll the right kind of die? Okay, so we got 8 -3 is 5 in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I got to put those pieces a different way if I'm gonna. The next one down, Iceni, I guess. 3, 7, 8. Now, I don't know if I can do these one at a time if I was running low on pieces. And then the third and final one is at 6, 10, -3 is 7. Well, we got a lot. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and the reason that we were subtracted from is because this is a patrolled sea. Okay, now we were going to ravage in all the regions. Plunder can exceed population. There's no assault, however. And then we roll a die, and we might be forced to battle as well. Okay. Okay. So, what do we do? Those raiders may take prosperity up to the lower of population or raiders as plunder. Well, we can raid exceeding the population. So we can take all 4 money here. And this is... God, I hate these pieces. So I take the 4 money and I put it on top of 4 of those raiders. Let me move the hill fort back. Okay. There's no assault. After the plunder, we roll a d6. We get a 2, so the population is not reduced. And then the dukes, then Savatis, then Scotti, each get a chance to fight me. Well, I don't think that looks terribly good. I've got 1 militia. If I wanted to fight that, let me see if there's any player aid that gives me the combat information. I don't think so. Sure, there is. Okay, so militia, and we're in the fens, which doesn't help us, would give us a field battle at a half, whereas those raiders are a half each. So I could kill a raider, but I would get schwacked. I think I choose not to fight. So we'll pull that one off, and we've done that. That one was weak, though. Let's go down to this one. Well, this one I don't need to plunder in or ravage. So I'm not going to, because that gives the attacker some defender some advantages. So I'll try to stack these cubes on top of some of those. Do I want to assault? Well, my assault value is 1, 2, and he's got 2 as well. What would the combat order be? The cav would get to strike first, so they would kill 2 of our pieces. Yeah, we're not going to attack here, and because we didn't ravage, we don't get attacked back. And now the final one here, well, we're facing cav, but I do believe we're going to do the ravage. Let's try to get these on top of pieces. Okay, so we do the ravage. Do we want to attack? Well, we get hit first by the cav if we attack. But we can kill a cav. So that doesn't sound too bad. If cav lost and it lost fewer pieces than its enemy, it will increase prestige. Huh. Oh, no assault. We could actually attack. Yeah. So we could actually attack this. Why don't we do this? Let's go back here. So, god damn it. Fucking crappy piece. The shapes are really hard to go with. Okay, so if we do a field battle, none of the special cases affect. It's going to be militia. Yeah, militia and militia fight after the raiders. But that's okay. That just means we take our casualty and we kill one of these. Now we could we cannot assault there. Did we want to do this? Sure. Sure. Okay. I don't know the answer. Here we did not want to attack, and since we didn't do a ravage or whatever, since we didn't do a ravage, we don't get attacked immediately. Okay. And here, we did do a ravage. We'll be allowed to attack first, though, if we so desire. Well, what about this fort? We can't assault the fort. Okay. What about battle consequences? Lost fewer pieces than the enemy and survived. If it kills enemies with plunder, yeah, none of that happened. Okay. Yeah, we'll fight here. So 2 of our raiders. Of course, some of these could turn into something, I guess. But they're going to get killed by the cav charge. And then we kill the cav because we have enough hits to kill the cav. However, it is not civitatis before fragmentation. The cav fought and lost fewer pieces than the enemy. So I believe they get a Roman prestige value for doing better in that fight, for whatever that's worth. Here we did a ravage, so we do not get to follow up with an assault on the town. The only place we would have been able to was here, and there wasn't one there. Okay. And that's the end of that card. The acculturation shows up. And then the next card is Sea Trade. High status Gourds. Add 10 wealth or 3 prestige or 5 Saxon or Scotty renown. And the Civitates are going to have first shot at that. They may really want that wealth because their wealth has been drained. And they don't really have a lot of money. Now, I have to remember what makes a person, what makes who in charge, right? If we get to the Imperium. And when does it switch? Gods. The Imperium. Imperium shifts during the Imperium phase of the epic round and via events, including epic events. Okay, so it wouldn't be changing immediately. And somewhere it lists those changes, and I don't see them, and my back's hurting, so I'll be back. Here's what I was looking at. So during the Imperium phase, which is during the epic, if the Britain control is 30 or less, and or total prosperity and prestige is 55 or less, it goes down to autonomy. Fine. But if at military dominance and wealth exceeds prestige by at least 10, it goes to civilian dominance. If wealth is not exceeding prestige by at least 6, it goes to military dominance. And otherwise, it stays whichever one it's at. So getting that wealth up is a big deal, especially since the dukes are getting prestige now. Because otherwise, we're going to stay in military dominance, and that might have its advantages, but it mainly has its advantages for the guy who's ahead in victory conditions, which in this case is both of us. How many cards are there in the deck? Well, there's 12 in each epic, I think. And we've already gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've made it halfway through the epic without the Saxons or Picts doing enough to do a lot of damage. Now here, there are more pieces controlled by the Picts. So this is, or by the Scotty. So this is actually now a Scotty control space. That means 2 prosperity go away and 1 Britain control. So we're getting closer to not being in the lead anymore. And once those Saxons settle, there's going to be problems. There's other factors at play here. This is actually no longer Britain control, I think. And let's see, the prosperity here went down by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Prosperity here went down by 2. Prosperity here went down by 1, 2, 3, 4. So the dukes are not doing so well. Control, though, there's more Saxon pieces, but do raiders count? I think they do, but I'm not positive. So let's find the control rule. Not raiders. Yeah, okay, so the raiders do not affect anything here. So this is the only one that's been lost here. Here, though, there are more troop and stronghold pieces of the Scotty than there are of all other factions. Does that give me anything? I don't think so. What does matter is, control doesn't matter, but if I get enough settlements, I am able to win the game. However, where I have to get, Saxon control is there. Scotty control should be somewhere in here. Right? No, they don't care about that. I don't see the Scotty victory conditions anywhere on the board. Well, they're written on the bottom of here. Renown exceeds 45 and at least 4 settlements on the map. That's their only victory. So yeah, we're nowhere near that. Where am I? I just set the new turn and started considering this next card that I don't have available to me. And I really shouldn't be doing that now because I'm probably going to take a pause. And you know what? It's been about an hour. So I guess we'll load this one up and not be as silly as we were with the intro.